development and AI and all that kind of thing, I think that'll fall down by the wayside a bit, and we're going to go back to how do we stay in business and how do you keep up with regulators, because each change takes each company months or years to work with. So if everyone does it at once, it's going to get very, very tricky for a lot of people.
This podcast is sponsored by Pragmatic Solutions, the player account management platform chosen by today's smart betting and gaming operators. Don't let technical constraints delay you from achieving your business goals. Expand your business, boost your margins, and dominate the market in any leading regulated jurisdiction with our powerful, flexible, and secure iGaming platform. Enjoy its extensive marketing tools, compliance protection, real-time data, and a wide portfolio of over 1,000 industry providers. It's time to upgrade your technology. Let Pragmatic Solutions show you the modern approach. Visit pragmatic.solutions and join the smart thinkers.
This podcast is brought to you by Pragmatic Play, a leading game developer providing player favorites to the most successful brands across the industry. With an award-winning multi-product portfolio of slots, live casino, bingo, virtual sports, and more, Pragmatic Play is powering up new possibilities of play through one single API. Visit pragmaticplay.com and discover your favorite every time.
Ho, 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 and cheers to you, Phil. Cheers. We have a water going here. As I said, we have a water, we have the coffee going. It's the end of the year. It's the end of the year. It's a revered end of the year podcast here.
This is the fourth time, but this time we have water. So, we're leveling up.
Exactly. Although, to be fair, one of the biggest things that happened to me this year, Phil, was that I became a coffee drinker, believe it or not, after 37 years of age.
I mean, congratulations. As someone who hates coffee, I'm glad you than me, but yeah. I'm still on the tea and hot chocolate train.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, it took me 37 years, so it's never too late to start.
It just tastes like poisonous dirt to me. I can't get my head around how people drink that and pay 12 euros for a cup of Starbucks in Copenhagen.
Yeah, you get around to it. I think having a Colombian girlfriend, it certainly helped me to be pushed over the line. But yes, Phil, so if we were to kick off this podcast by just doing a little bit of a year in review, if you think about the year in iGaming of 2024, how would you summarize it? What stands out to you? What are just your general observations as a starting point here?
You see people running around wildly trying to fix problems caused by other people this year. I think there's been a lot of growth, but it's not been kind of natural growth. It's having to grow because otherwise you're going to die, in a way, if you know what I'm saying. Like, everybody's running around to regulate in new markets. Everyone was looking at LATAM. Now everyone's looking at different markets. Crypto's gone through the roof. So it's either regulate the heck out of yourself or go super, super grey time, I think. So everyone's been kind of deciding which side of the fence they're going to fall on.
Yeah. And it feels like that is a trend that is continuing in the industry since previous year, perhaps as well. Perhaps is that what you see continuing as well going forward into 2025 too? Is it going to be black become more black, let's say, or grey become more darker grey, and whiter become whiter?
I think white will become whiter for sure. I mean, you can look at what the UKGC is doing, what Sweden's doing. They're going super white. And if you take, but even the grey sites now, like recently with BC Game kind of bankrupting themselves in Curacao, Softabet did the same thing. So even people on grey are now merging to become more grey. So grey has become very grey and white has become very white. And there's no middle ground anymore. Like the MJ used to be the ultimate middle ground. That's gone. So now it's literally two sides of a coin and you have to pick one at this point.
Right. And do you see, so we're still talking about operators here taking this route between kind of the gray markets, pre-regulated markets, or into the regulated territories. But does that have then any second order consequences into the B2B side of the industry, say game suppliers and other suppliers? Will this eventually become a choice for them as well? Because it feels like so far this choice of black or regulated has been a choice for operators and not B2B suppliers.
It started. I mean, we spoke about this last year, but it's getting more and more now. So all of the operators are now blocking certain markets. We get kind of notifications through to make sure we have traffic switched off in the most crazy of countries that we don't do anyway. But then more and more providers this year have started blocking specific markets with kind of heavy-handed regulators, shall we say? And now, obviously, with the news in the past couple of days, with even the biggest provider coming in and making sure certain markets are closed off for their .com traffic, everyone's starting to take it very, very seriously. So I think regulations finally caught up with how iGaming was operated 5 years ago, and now people are now struggling to, well, not struggling, but pulling out all the stops to get ahead to be 5 years ahead again. So I think we had it as a group, not we as in us, we as in the community, had it very easy since when I started, like mid 2010s, and now 9 years later, it's becoming problematic to just float through with your one or two licenses. Now people are having to put in a lot of work, have very big compliance teams, very big teams all around. So it's becoming fun, but in a bad way. So the bad kind of fun.
It's a bad kind of fun. And when you say, even the biggest supplier is now kind of taking decisions and shutting off unregulated territories, is this from pressure of regulators that are also pressuring B2B suppliers, or how come that even game suppliers are now taking this choice?
Yeah, I mean, from what we know, so allegedly, I'm going to say, but like with the flash memo from Evolution yesterday to close off anything.com in like Romania, Sweden, UK, they're making sure that people aren't using proxies. They're making sure on a lot of different kind of traffic stability kind of reasonings in their head. But also it's happened before, so we've had it this year from even the big kind of, I would say, crypto-friendly studios, so Prague, Hacksaw, that kind of thing. They have been limiting a lot of kind of direct traffic from certain IPs in countries that are heavily regulated. So I think we've turned a corner, but I think 2025, because obviously we review and then we forecast, 2025 is going to be the same, but I'm going to go with 3 times more horrible to get through. I think it's going to be harder, and I think other countries are going to take notes from what France has done, from what the UK has done, and what the Netherlands has done, and I think they're going to incorporate that a lot more with their licensing, especially with some big markets due to license as well.
Yeah. And I think it's an interesting topic because it's in recent times it's been a bit of a feeling where the dark gray and black territories have been kind of like a free-to-play, operate as you wish kind of territories, whereas we are now then seeing consequences than that if you are if you are taking players from regulated territories without a license, you might not be able to work with your favorite game suppliers, for example. Exactly. So are you seeing this, that potentially we're then, as you say, turning the corner and maybe it's a leg up for the operators and suppliers who are choosing the regulated path?
Yeah, definitely. So I think you'll see, especially share price growth. I think you'll see a lot of growth in the big, heavy regulated markets. I think the USA is the exception because no one has any idea where all that traffic goes. But they do. But especially like the big licensed countries, they are going to full on support their big operators. So you've got like UK, like Bet365, Paddy Power, those kind of places. They are growing, especially with a lot of major, should we say, medium-sized companies pulling out of the regulated markets. We started with a monopoly. We went to a free-for-all, whatever you want type of situation, and now it's going to revert back to a monopoly. So I feel like we're going to go up a hill, down a massive hill, and then slowly get back to where we were before, with 3 or 4 major companies taking a huge amount of the GGR and the volume. And especially on the game provider side as well, only the ones with those licenses are going to be taking that traffic. Right.
But it's also kind of a divide then, you could say, because you might, let's say that you are looking to run an unregulated site or a supplier for that matter, you will have like a cohort of suppliers to work with. who are exclusively perhaps working in the unregulated territory versus then the regulated territories where you have a different type of cohort or company. So it's kind of like two different industries, almost, if you will, with two separate type of companies that are operating in each. And you need to take a decision. If you're in the unregulated territories, you can't work with these game suppliers, for example. But likewise, if you're in the regulated environment, then you can't work with certain type of suppliers either. So it's interesting from that perspective too.
Yeah, especially if most new casinos or new enterprises would take their games from an aggregator. So you're not going to integrate 50 game providers. You're going to just do one integration, plug in everything. Now, with this happening, there's no aggregator that can provide the traffic for both, realistically. I mean, if there is, there's not many. So you're going to even have to choose third-party partners who you work with as well, depending on which route you're going down. Or you do the old famous, we have two companies, one's white, one's grey. But now there's going to be a lot more checks on the traffic that goes between those two companies as to where it's coming from. So, I mean, really, everyone is not on edge, but I think most people are a little bit nervous, even if they won't say it. But I think by the time, say, May, June, by the time iGaming Next comes around, I think you're going to have some really interesting panels this year on this kind of thing. I think this is the topic that's going to come up a lot more than recent times with development and AI and all that kind of thing. I think that'll fall down by the wayside a bit, and we're going to go back to how do we stay in business and how do you keep up with regulators, because each change takes each company months or years to work with. So if everyone does it at once, it's going to get very, very tricky for a lot of people.
Yeah, that's an interesting observation, definitely, to look out for 2025 as the landscape is becoming more complicated to navigate.
I hope I'm wrong.
Let's see for sure. I want to dig into maybe the topic that most people are waiting for in this year of review, which is shall we call it the Slot Studio Review or the Slot Studio Awards, perhaps even.
Awards.
In a sea of awards, I think this is the one that everyone is paying attention to the most. Last year, we went through a couple of different categories to ask Phil about his thoughts around who are the winners and the losers in the game studio environment, as well as games itself and so on. So I want to kick it off here then by asking you, Phil, in your opinion, what are the best game studios of 2024 overall?
Just for the sake of the record for this podcast, I've not prepped any of this, so I'm going to have to think as we
go. This is all on the fly.
It's all on the fly. So, I mean, there's one that's made a big comeback this year, which is No Limit City. They had an off couple of years, 2022, 2023. But now all of their games this year, with the exception of one or two, have been, I'd say, exceptional to very, very good on the quality scale. I think especially winning a couple of awards that they won that were voted for by actual casino players and streamers. That's done well for them. San Quentin 2 did very, very well. That's one of our top games, and I know people online play it a lot. So they've had a very good year. Pragmatics had a very good year, obviously. Their games are not always kind of that different from each other, but this year they've actually come out with quite a few good new things, and now they've started to go down for the sake of legality, not copying, but being influenced by land-based casino slots, like a couple of their recent launches have focused on trying to merge the gap between land-based and online, especially with a provider that is available on all sites rather than a specific kind of localized provider. So they've had a very good year. A few of the smaller companies have, but I would mention that B Gaming has come out of nowhere to be a very big supplier for us. They've had a cracking year, and I'm not just saying that because we're doing some kind of CSR stuff with them next year, but the reason why we're doing that is because they've done so well. Can we just highlight the fact that B Gaming is also a female-led team with Marina as the founder, and they have like a group of girls who are just like completely rocking it right now. They are going really heavy on the artistic side, hiring like professional artists to really go full on. Branding is excellent. They got Snoop Dogg in as well. They seem to be front and center everywhere. Yeah. No, they're doing really well. I mean, we met the CEO, some of the senior team at ICE, because our head of marketing is working with them. But they even said they're coming after our title of having like the most women to men ratio in gaming. So if they beat it, I'm happy, because then the women in gaming people can go and focus on actually someone of change instead of us, which they never do. But no, it's good because like if they can do that, they can promote obviously equal opportunity, women in gaming, that kind of thing, but they do it naturally and have grown from where they were to what they are now, which is producing good content that people like. I think that's a great thing. We're very happy to work with them this year.
Is there any success? Where do you attribute the success mostly? Is it on the commercial front? Is it on the games themselves? Or what's the secret to gaming specifically there, Rise? Because the team is just a special team.
Yeah, it's just, women make things better, apparently. That's true. So we have, there's a couple of reasons. Commercially, I can't go into, but it's well priced compared to the market. They're not trying to overcharge. They're not trying to say, oh, we're super premium like some of the newer providers do. So they know their market. They're priced right for the market. They're very easy to work with. So if we need anything, they reply within like minutes rather than some of our slot providers take weeks to reply to a question. They're marketing pretty well. They're going about kind of engagement, kind of CSR engagement as well, very well. And they are, to be honest, they're just nice people. It's not often you find that many nice people to work with. So I think that really kind of works well for them in the fact that we get on with them well, so we want to work with them. There's like a cooperation there rather than a kind of client-provider type of deal.
Yeah, shout out to Marina, Lubov, everyone else in the team over there for doing a great job for sure.
We didn't salute Tim Heath this year, so we can salute them instead. I feel like it's a nice thing.
Exactly. It's the next generation now taking over. So we'll saluting the great women of gaming and elsewhere for keeping the industry alive, basically. Anyone else you want to highlight as a kind of really, as a studio that done really well this year?
I think I said this last year that I really liked the fact as to what print studios were making. They've continued with not releasing that many games, but the games they release are quite good. And there's not really any copies. So I had a look just before this because I was looking on, I won't say the name of the site, but I was looking on a large site as to what the new releases were. And 30% of them, so it was 6 out of 20, were reskins or kind of copies of the exact same game from a different provider. So 30% of everything coming out right now is just the same as what people have had before. So people avoiding that by making the less is more thing work is kind of something I enjoy seeing a lot. That's why No Limit is normally quite high up there because they haven't really done that. And you'll see other providers, probably smaller providers, come up now. There's a couple of providers on Stake which seem to be exclusive, which is Massive Gaming and Titan Gaming. Titan's kind of releasing their own stuff, but Massive have kind of taken the concepts everyone else has done and made them better. So I kind of think that might be an angle people might go down in 2025, which is taking something done but then working it to improve it. So there's a few games that Massive have done that I actually think are better than the originals that they're based off.
That's an interesting take. And if we were to flip the coin down and look at the worst performing studios of 2024, what are the misses of this year?
Misses of you, there's no one that's been really terrible. So like, I'm trying to think. I've got to be kind of more polite to people now. I've lost my edgy edge that I used to have. But just to finish up, I was going to add another one, which is Big Time Gaming. Also had a bit of a turnaround, and their stuff's getting a bit better. I think the shocking disappointment of NetEnt over the past few years is still continuing. I haven't seen a good game from them or Red Tiger that people actually play. So half of the Evo family is kind of killing it, and half is not really pulling their weight as much. Again, just my opinion. I'm going to get hate for it, but I'm okay with it. And then I think Play and Go's been a bit hit or miss. They've gone big with the Formula One sponsorship with Everything Everywhere, but they're a white market focused company. So they are happy with the number one position Book of Dead that they've had since 2015. They're still kind of riding that game pretty strong. Their new content, their last two games are total reskins of games from 10 years ago. So just done in a nice, friendly new way, which needs to be done at some point because the older games do start to look old. But yeah, I think NetEnt and Play and Go are the ones that have disappointed a bit this year. Also, Blueprint seems to have stopped making anything new. They used to be very big. Being British, they were our provider that we grew up with. So they are they seem to have stopped kind of reaching into the same kind of markets that we're in. I haven't seen anything that decent from them in this time either.
Brilliant. So, to summarize, I mean, last year we talked about kind of NetEnt and Evo overall not being able to produce that many great games, but at least we are saying here that they have made an improvement on, let's say, if we say an evolution from perhaps not producing the best games in 2023 to at least half of the studios being up there as two of the best performing studios of the entire year. So that's a clear improvement as an entirety.
Yeah, I mean, 2 of their RNG, 2 out of 4 is pretty good. But I think even their live studio, like I can't remember the name of it now, but the Lightning thing, that's done really well, especially for us. So they've focused on, even on the Evo side, on the quality side of it. So I think their new game looks spectacular. I mean, even the Crazy Balls variant of Crazy Time is actually looking really good. So the work they put into that is very, very good.
Yeah. And on the live side itself, is there anyone who's catching up to Evolution? Do they need to work at night? Do they need to, wake up early and get to work?
I mean, I don't think they're going to have to worry about that for quite a while. I mean, obviously, again, I think we spoke about the Prague market share last time. Our market share between the two has shrunk a little bit. So there's like a 4 or 5%, 4 or 5% shrinkage between the Evo dominance to the Prague side of things. Bombay Live's doing okay. I mean, friends of yours, so they're doing pretty well. There's a lot of new live casino providers recently. I had a look because I did a LinkedIn Wrapped post where I actually looked through all my messages. There was 17 new live casino providers in there, of which I've heard of. Yeah, I know. I've only heard of 3 of them. So I mean, to be honest, they are left unread because we don't even handle our own game aggregation, so there's not much I can do. But they are coming up, so I think people are starting to look at live casinos as an easy way in to, I'm going to go with grayer market territories, with kind of Evo having the dominance over the white market that they have.
Right. Yeah, it's interesting. And I mean, live traditionally seems to have been a very big challenge for a lot of traditional game suppliers who naturally want to gravitate into producing live games off the back of the success of Evolution, but then quickly realizing that it's something very different. So you were saying that now it's kind of like a second wave of new game studios that are trying to establish themselves as live studios.
I'm not sure it's going to work, but I mean, good luck to them. But you can see that any live casino in the past that got large, so look at Azugi, get bought out by Evolution anyway. So NetEnt Live, Evo, Azugi, Evo, those were the big competitors. So I'm guessing what we'll see is if one of them makes it in 6 to 12 months, that'll just join part of the Evo family maybe and just grow that a little bit bigger. Yeah, let's see. It was a while ago. We saw an acquisition on the game studio front now from Evo, so who knows, a lot of cash flow there. What would you say are some of the most exciting newcomers of the year as it comes to game studios? I mean, can we call the kind of rebirth of B Gaming a newcomer? Because that one was quite good. So I actually really enjoyed their last few slots. And now they've just launched a duck-related slot. So, okay, that's why we think they know what they're talking about. They know why they're doing this. I don't think it's got anything to do with us, but if it does, then thank you very much. On the new side, there's been revivals, but there hasn't been that many new providers that we've kind of seen anything like we did for the past couple of years. So the actual new slot providers, I think, hit its peak, say, late 2023. And then other than the small ones that have made it up, the main kind of fun to play games that we're seeing, especially if we look at our data, are the ones on the Hacksaw or OpenRGS. So other companies like Backseat and the other one, whose name I will always forget, are launching, say, one game every 2 months, but that game is appearing very highly on a lot of casinos. So I think game providers utilizing the RGS of other game providers is now going to be an easier route in, especially with them having the integrations already in place for the main studio. So those have done quite well on the new side, I think, and the continuation of a couple of the newer ones from a couple of years ago, like Print. Yeah, brilliant. Carl and crew, shout out to them. If you look at the innovation front within the games category, have you seen any innovation this year, or are we still stuck with real-based games? I mean, there's a couple that tried it. I mean, there's a lot of new kind of grid variants. Like Hacksaw's new slot is a full-on weird cross between Space Invaders and I'm not sure what it's a cross between, but it's very Space Invader-y. That people try it, but at the end of the day, I think people seem to like what they like. There's not that much you can do to make a slot different than what it was 10 years ago. So there's been a few kind of game-changing developments, but if you look at the overall kind of timeline of what people are playing, the number one thing on the live casino was making a roulette number multiply by a bit more than what it should do. There's no changes on blackjack. Baccarat's the same. Put a lightning on it. So basically, if you can put lightning on something, it's going to do pretty well. And on the slot sides, other than kind of different real dynamics and bonus buys and that kind of thing, there's not really that much that's happened in the last year. People have tried. But if you're looking at the top 20, 25 games on any casino by volume, it's all the same. Everyone's still doing 3 reel, 5 reel. There's bonus buys, there isn't bonus buys, but at least it's achievable. It's not that much different. But I think 6 reels are coming in now, so there's a lot of 6 reel slots. So adding that extra reel, that's the big thing for the year.
We're going from 5 to 6.
5 to 6, 7 reels next year we'll be talking about.
Oh, wow, that's impossible to even think about. This is outside of the realm of anything that ever been thought of before. Interesting. And so if you were to think about the best games themselves then from an overarching level, you mentioned a few already, but if you want to summarize them into a few of your Phil Pearson's top favorite games of the year, what would they be?
We used to do this on LinkedIn a couple of years ago, and then I just completely forgot about it, but you've reminded me. No, San Quentin 2 is definitely up there. That was a great game. That's the very volatile, and you can kind of gamble up the bonus from a small stake to a very large kind of possibility of a max win of 200,000x, which people like. I think Sugar Rush 1000 did very, very well for Prague. And I mean, I'm not saying that for them guys, but that game kind of encaptures what it is you want from a slot machine. So it can do something. You can pay a bit extra to get the extra head start on what you're looking to try and achieve. But the volatility is there, and if a slot re-triggers, especially like that one does, you get very involved in, oh, this might be the one. So I think that kind of feeling made that slot do very, very well. So those are kind of my top 2 picks for the year. If I'm going kind of outside the box, I like a game no one else likes. So I've been playing a slot I've been playing 2. So I've been playing Haunted Reels by B-Gaming because I just like the sound of the skeleton guy and the fact that I kind of think that dynamic's quite clever. And I've been playing, what else was I playing? Oh, Winamar or Winamatic by Print. That kind of level up bonus round was very fun kind of to play for me, especially if you got to the end. So those 4 are probably my most played games that are outside of kind of the usual kind of Hacksaw Prague mix that are kind of dominating the lobbies.
Yeah, brilliant. Okay, so we heard the finalists, and let's crown a winner in each of these categories. So first and foremost, best studio of the year. One answer.
No Limit City.
Yeah, No Limit City. Congratulations to Jonas and his people. Worst studio.
I mean, can we say NetEnt? If we can, then I'll say that. But they don't make that many slots anymore, but we'll say them for the sake of it.
Okay. Best newcomer.
I mean, how do we pick a newcomer when no one's really done that much? If we can take what I've seen on Stake, then I think, I don't know how old they are though, but Titan's done really well for what they've made, so that probably. Or if you're allowing me to do a rehash of someone that's got better, then B-Gaming.
B-Gaming. I think that's the theme here today. We talked about it before. I'd allow you to put B-Gaming as a winner in this category. Best newcomer. Best up and comer, let's say.
Yeah.
We'll rewrite the rules here as we go live. Best game.
I mean, I kind of have to. It's the game I play the most, so I'm going to give it to Sugar Rush 1000.
Sugar Rush 1000. All right, congratulations to Prague. And what about the worst game?
The worst game?
Yeah, they got a trophy too, you know.
Oh, I mean, if you come back to me and let me search on my phone for the name of the game, I can find it. but there was a game. Oh, who was it by? I think it was a hacksaw game. I can't remember what it is. There's a DJ in it. I think it's called Feel the Beat. That game, I hate it. I don't know why. I just hate it. But that's just personally. I think that game for me is the worst game. But I can't really blame Hacksaw too much because their other stuff's very, very good. Like if there's an award for consistency, they should win that. There we go. Consistent slot provider of the year. Give it to Hacksaw.
Consistency of the year. Okay, Hacksaw. We got a trophy to them as well. No worries.
But that game just annoyed me.
Okay, so Hacksaw has 2 awards then, the consistency of the year and the worst game of the year.
Yeah, but they're not consistently the worst. That's just a blip.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
we'll give them the blip, but then also for generally making very good content.
Brilliant. Okay, we got that one as well. And best innovation of the year.
I mean, we're not really going to give it to someone who did a 6th reel, I don't think. Innovation on slots.
Yeah, it's like unthinkable to even think in those terms. In innovation,
it's like giving an award to someone who climbed a hill the best. It's like there's no real way of getting up that hill other than walking. If we take everything combined, I think what No Limit City did with Outsourced and then compared it to the new X-Way thing they've done on a couple of their newer stuff, I'd probably give it to them because I think Outsourced is a very quiet game of the year contender. I think it's like 3rd for me, but how they built that, I think I can go in that direction only because I'm struggling to think of anything else.
Okay.
But No Limit City, you're going to love me now, taking home 2 awards.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, all right. So
are you going to actually get these awards made? Are they going to be real, or are we just?
Yeah. So we've had an AI 3D printed model of Phil Pearson with a naked torso giving a thumbs up as an actual trophy. That will be sent out to all the winners here, including the ones I mentioned here today. So the statue is a life-sized statue actually. So it's about 160 meter tall, something like that. And
188. Leave me alone.
And it's an actual weight as well of the actual person too. So it might take a little bit effort to transport it into your office, but nonetheless, having one of those in your office is the ultimate achievement and sign of success. So yes, we'll get those out there to the studios sooner or later.
I'm like the Venus de Milo of awards for iGaming. I think that would be the way to go. I mean, can we go back and 3D print it to what I looked like 3 years ago before I start taking medication that just makes me fatter? That would be nice. So let's go that. We'll do a trim, and then we'll shave it down.
We'll make it even prettier if it's even possible, but I don't know. Okay, so if we zoom out for a bit now, Phil, and we think about the industry, this is going south, isn't it? That goes with the territory here. If we zoom out from the game category and we think about some of the more interesting companies in the industry in general, say suppliers that you work with, companies up and coming, interesting new companies offering new services or innovating in some way in the industry. Is there anything that stands out to you, any companies that you are particularly impressed by during the year 2024, or anything you just took note of in general as it comes to service providers?
I mean, there's a few that come to mind, but I think if you look at innovation, there's a lot of, especially this year, people innovating things for the sake of innovating it. So there's a lot of AI, there's a lot of kind of things that will change how you run a casino for no real reason other than saving 4 minutes of time. So I don't know how I can go into this without revealing what we do, but if you run your lobby of your casino based on AI recommendations, and the player's going to get games similar to what they've just played.
Yeah.
But how often, if you're a player, do you want to play a game completely different to what you've just played? So but then the AI doesn't know if you're thinking, I want to play the same, I want to play the opposite. And the problem that it creates is if you have a promotion, say game provider A is giving you whatever, 40% off their portfolio to push them in certain places, that AI algorithm will have to have that incorporated into it. So you're losing half of the possibilities for what you can suggest anyway, because you have to, for a month, push certain content anyway. You have to use the CRM the same way. You have to use gamification the same way. I mean, I think on the gamification side, I think Unibo's getting stronger in the market. I think they're selling quite well from what I've heard.
Unibo and Alexis Vican and the guys. Yep.
Alexis, the legend. But I think every time I see him now, he's just in Casino Malta. So I think he's just retiring now, and he's an Texas Ultimate Hold'em player. That's his new income stream. But I think on the gamification side now, a lot of people are starting to incorporate their own into different integrations. So a lot of things come with gamification now. A lot of game aggregations offer it. A lot of CRM tools have a kind of similar type of thing. So everybody's kind of merging things into one basket, but also at the same time, people are inventing some pointless stuff, like stuff that doesn't make sense, that you don't need. So you can have a company that manages your KYC documents and your kind of adverse media and that kind of thing. But then there's another company that say, oh, we can only do pictures, but we'll do it 3 cents cheaper. So then you have to integrate 2 things to do the job that the first thing could do anyway. So no one's really doing it. But that's why, I mean, just for the sake of a name, I think SumSub is a very good company to work for. So we need to make another Naked Phil award for them. But they are kind of an all-in-one solution that not really saves money, but kind of saves a lot of time. So time efficiency is the new name of the game, I think, this year coming up. Everyone's going to try to put everything in one basket and make sure it works.
Right, like automation, AI, ML, that is potentially where it's heading just to save time in general. I think I agree with that as well. I mean, another point as well is, yeah, I can't verify this live because I can't remember exactly what the page is called now, but there's a website that tracks how many fines are being distributed by the regulators globally within the industry, and they break it down year by year. So in 2023, an enormous amount of money was being handed out in fines, whereas in 2024, actually, if I remember correctly by heart, a lot less fines were actually being distributed by the regulators. I don't know if that's something you're aware of as well, but perhaps this is also due to innovation within the compliance space or just operators becoming more compliant in general. Obviously, you have experience in this field as well.
So I was going to say 2023, like 70% of those fines are just me. So
exactly. So you contributed a lot to that number.
The Dutch chasing after me with sticks. So I think that actually plays a part in it. So I think the fact that the Dutch went so crazy, and they crazy is a loose word, but they went after video slots, they went after us, they went after people who had these measures in place, but they got around them themselves. And now they haven't kind of recovered any of the money. I think the whole fining system itself has shown to be ineffective in a way, because you can tie this up. Like, we can argue and we can show data to them, and we're still doing it now. We were emailing them today still about fine decisions for 18 months ago. So they're still on the case trying to come up with an accurate number of what they want to fine us, which we're going to object and appeal to anyway, unless it's like 50K, in which case, sure, thank you, we're good. But as like video slots getting the reduction that they got from the data they showed, we're doing the same thing. Just our fine is, well, bigger and slightly more complicated. But that trend of people not working their way around fines, but managing to argue successfully of a little bit of common sense has shown that you can't block every single player in the world from coming to your website. There is no tool that can block a VPN, really. I mean, DraftKings do a very good job of it, but there's still VPNs that work on DraftKings. And they're probably the number one provider for blocking unregulated traffic, especially after they closed down the UK again this year. So they've even left everywhere in Europe for daily. Yeah. That trend is going to continue, I think. I think fines are going to get lower, but I think there's going to be more power for the regulators to go after everyone else. So now you've seen they're going after payment providers, they're going after game providers, they're going after the services that function the casinos rather than the casinos itself.
Right. And that plays into the wider discussion as we had in the beginning here, of course, as operators now have a choice, and so even suppliers have a choice.
Tying things together.
It's the circle of life, as Mufasa said in 1994. But just to summarize here, I have the page in front of me here now. So if we look at how many fines, how much money have been fined towards operators in 2021, $46 million of fines by regulators. 2022, that climbed to $264 million. And to 2023, that almost doubled up to $442 million. But then in 2024, it's been down from $440 million to $186 million. So a significant drop in the amount of fines from the regulators between 2023 and 2024. So also interesting, as you point out here, that perhaps it is also due to regulators that are now also realizing that they can't just hand out magic number fines in connection also with operators and suppliers who perhaps are taking compliance more seriously as well.
Compliance is definitely being taken more seriously, but also I think the fact that 2021, 22, 23, it's so hard to get that money. So if you go after offshore crypto-facing casino, they're covered. They have holding companies. They are deep buried somewhere. So how you get that money, it's a waste of your regulators' time to even bother finding it. So the way they're doing it now makes a lot more logistical sense, shall we say, but it might not be as monetarily beneficial. But also, you are right, compliance has got better. People are hiring more and more. I mean, you see it on LinkedIn, like head of legal, head of compliance, senior compliance. There's a lot more availability in those areas, and compliance is kind of becoming a sexier job choice, shall we say, for people.
Compliance and sexy. That's is a trend we didn't expect going into 2025.
Nothing wrong with some good legal minds in the world. That's why like Suits is the #1 most watched thing on Netflix. It's like people love that kind of thing. But then they realize once they get into compliance, it's actually mind-numbingly boring. So I apologize to all the compliance fans out there.
It should be a Netflix series about the compliance department in various operators on Netflix. We'll see.
The drama of that would be amazing.
Okay, so another space, of course, that we need to review selfishly here is the conference landscape of 2024. We saw a record amount of conferences within the year. Seemingly all of them are growing and becoming bigger. And we saw, of course, SBC Lisbon taking place for the first time, Sigma Malta happening for the last time, at least in flagship form, IDB Amsterdam happening for the last time, moving to London. A lot of changes, a lot of growth. What's your observations here, Phil?
I mean, first of all, I said this again, the exact same thing last year. There is too many conferences. There's only the same people you can meet the same number of times. I think ICE moving is probably a good thing, especially with IGB then jumping over to the Excel, which is probably the best venue to put an event at, as far as I'm concerned, because of the links and the travel. I just think that place makes sense. Amsterdam was also pretty good, though. So if we take ICE, I think ICE expecting, 50,000 people, the biggest conference on this side of the world ever. But everyone's saying that in all of their marketing. I think that's going to be pretty good. We're moderately, not excited, but we're looking forward to it. We're going to send 22 people. But the amount now is growing so much. You could literally go from September to start of December without ever going home. If you went one by one, you'd be traveling, I think it works out like 180,000 miles. It's a lot of conferences, especially for the same things. But my issue with the conferences, and I'm going to go slightly off topic and praise you a bit here, which I never do, so I'm giving you some praise. The panels at these conferences are so bad, and you have to pay to go on them. Like, they asked me, said, "Oh, Phil, do you want to join this panel about casino games, something about game recommendation or something?" And I went, "If you really want me to." And they went, "Okay, it'll be $5,000. And I was like, what? I don't want to pay to be on a panel. You pay me to sit there for 30 minutes. It's the difference between that and what you get when you go to Valletta with you guys is you go to that event for the talks, for learning, for growing as a kind of place in the industry, and then you on the side will see 10 or 12 stands. But these ones, you go for the 8,000 stands in a disused submarine factory or whatever it is, and then the conferences, I didn't see a single advertisement for the conferences anywhere. It was weird. And then there was a side panel thing, which was where a stand should have been but never got built, and it had seats for 12 people. So I'm not sure what they're trying to promote, but if they improve the actual conference side and make it more kind of marketable and appealable to go to, I think they'll do a bit of a better job. So the conference side is not the best, personally.
I'm curious about this, though, that has been repeated for a couple of years now, though, that there are too many conferences. And I wonder, though, if we are past the fact that there are still as many conferences going into next year and they are still growing. So I wonder, does that mean that there isn't, in fact, too many conferences, but actually the industry has just grown quite significantly since pre-pandemic, and this is just this is just the industry catching up basically by all these shows growing and showcasing how many more companies there are out there. Because I mean, ICE, there's no way you can meet all the companies that you want to meet or all the people that you want to meet. And in fact, you can go to events and conferences all year round and meet new people and meet new prospective clients and deepen relationships all across the year if you want to dedicate your time to that.
You can for sure, but here's what I find really interesting. If you look at the floor plan for ICE or Sigma or IGB 2023, 2022, pick one, and then look at the floor plan for 2025, how many of those companies that you meet don't exist anymore? How many of those small payment providers are now joined with another payment provider, or those AI tools have vanished, or those slot provider that wasn't very good, didn't sell anything? Or like how many platforms and white label companies have kind of dropped off in the past 2 years? Quite a lot. So I think the reason they exist is for new business opportunities for people that don't entirely know what they're doing with a new business opportunity. Because if you're new to gaming and you can handle a certain amount of clients or inquiries, you're going to get way too many going to all of these shows. And also the side part is all of the people that work in gaming generally want to travel for free and get drunk for free and go to parties with Calvin Harris or whoever is doing a closing party anymore. They do all of that because they go for those reasons. They don't go to network and meet new people. If you could just take a look at LinkedIn for the amount of people, my diary is fully booked. You haven't even gone there yet. Like, what about the people that walk up to your stand that you don't know? That's what we go for. That's why we have the rule of you're only allowed to book up 30% of your diary with people. Everything else has to be free to meet new people, because that's where we find clients. That's where we find opportunities. That's where we go and find new ideas, new kind of providers, new suppliers. It baffles me the way that companies use it to show off how busy they are, meeting people they can have a Zoom call with or meet in Malta. It makes no sense to me.
Yeah. What are the best advice from Phil Pearson and how you create a successful conference for yourself as a, let's say, account manager or any given professional of the industry who is going there to sell specifically? How do you create the most successful experience for you and the company?
I would say, avoid being fully booked all the time, because you are never going to meet anyone that you don't already know. So if you come to our stand, for example, when we do London, I think we had a talk with you in London when we had that game. The queue for that game was like 20 people. So instead of me having a meeting with one person, that like a client, I can hand that off to someone else. But if I go and talk to those 20 people in that queue, what are the chances one of them randomly will be someone that's like, oh, that's interesting. So I'd say have as much free time as you can, and don't stand around a stand with 3 of your friends holding a coffee, looking at each other with your back to everybody, because that's all you ever see when you walk past stands. It's just you don't know who to go to. So having a stand that makes it clear, like, speak to this person and we will find you someone, because you don't ever really know who works there in the end. You can just walk past and people are just stood around having a beer and a chat. The other thing is network, but try not to be known as the person that goes home at 6 a.m. That's never a good look. Do it once, but if you do it 3 times, people are going to probably judge you a little bit, especially if you're looking for promotion, shall we say. It's good for the optics to go at like 1 or 2, at least once or twice. And I would say network as much as you can with people that come to talk to you about what you do, because that's the reason why people stop at our stand or stop at Prague because they want to talk slots. They stop at us because they're looking at having a white label. You don't get to do that if you're sat in a meeting with people you already know, or you're trying to close a deal with someone where you could it's far cheaper to jump on a plane to any country that they're in and just go and chat to them. Don't waste the money that you've spent at a conference, like what, 100 square meter stand with 20 people is going to cost you, what, $250,000 to go to? Why waste that investment on meeting people you know, other than for 5 minutes to say, don't worry, I've got everything covered. I'll come and meet you when we're finished.
Brilliant. Okay, so we have to do some quick conference awards here today as well.
Conference awards.
This is of course this is the most prestigious awards of the entire year here for sure. So starting off with best conference of the year. Ice. Okay.
Oh, it's always ice. It's so good.
Yeah. Okay. Let's say the most fun conference of the year.
The most fun for me is yours in Valletta, because you actually talk to people that want to come and talk to you. So that is, for me, the most fun.
Brilliant. Okay. You say that there are too many conferences. Which conference will not survive?
I said last year I thought it would be Sigma. So technically, I'm going to take a point for that because they have moved it. Which conference will not survive? Oh, God.
In the long run. Not next year, but in the long run.
In the long run, the problem I have now is this, again, ties in full circle Mufasa moment, is with everyone regulating, there's going to need to be conferences in each different country slowly. I think one of the LATAM ones will be the first to go, because I'm going to go with one of the Rio ones. I'm going to let you pick which one, but I think a LATAM conference will be dropped quite quickly. I'm going to go with.
Okay, very conservative there. What other award can we come up with for the conference? Okay, which conference is missing? Is there anything that should be there that isn't there?
A missing conference. If you could take what you did and put that on a big stage I'm not talking the Valletta stage, I'm talking times that by 10. That would be something people would go to. I think if you went and it's more like a learning festival than a 500 people. I think if you had 5,000 people and there was panels that lasted an hour and a half and people could text in questions on iPads, that's missing, because we don't have anything like that. But I'm backing you to do that, because if anyone can, Pierre can. That's missing. I do think we're going to miss Amsterdam a bit. I think that was very easy for people to get to, especially with UK now being out of Europe and being dicks about visas to some people. I think an EU mass conference would be good. The problem with Lisbon was the opposite problem. It's really hard to get to for a lot of people, and the transport links sucked. The venue was nice, but it took an average of 90 minutes in a taxi to get to the place. Yeah, unless you're clever and booked a hotel right by the thing, which we did for next year. So we quickly jumped on that bandwagon and took 20 rooms at a random hotel.
Brilliant. Okay, those were the conference awards. You had it here first with Pearson, the oracle of the industry for sure. Okay, but we do have the most important awards still to give out for last. We've been saving this for the absolute last segment of this podcast today. And that is, of course, the Hamper Awards of the year. We are now deep in December. We're receiving hampers left, right, and center. Some of them stand out, some of them doesn't. Gifts in general we receive throughout the year. So I'm just going to leave it like this. Phil, what's the hamper of the year?
We got a lovely chocolate-based hamper, and the name of who sent it is coming to me slowly. So I'm going to talk about it and hope it appears. But there was lint, there was decorative pieces. It was quite beautiful. There was even cookies. Everybody loves a cookie. That came from, it was a game provider. I'm going to come back to it. It might be Prague, but I'm not sure. But it's definitely a game provider. I'm going to go 80% Prague right now. But also, the best merch I've had is this thing.
Prague as well. Yeah. They are the champions. So Pragmatic Play are the undisputed champions of merch.
They are the champions of merch. Merch and comfortable seating, but terrible hoodies. Their hoodie game is shocking. The Hacksaw hoodie game is pretty strong. They didn't send a hamper to us. They sent Christmas jumpers.
That's a new trend as well.
Nice.
Yeah, we see that a little bit.
Christmas jumpers.
That's a new trend.
The Casino Grounds Christmas jumper is...
Yeah, that's a classic.
The Casino Grounds Christmas jumper, right up there. Kim Holtman, shout out to him for his... I'm guessing he didn't do it. He's busy with his baby. But someone in that company did a good Christmas jumper. What else have we had? Oh, we partner with a company called Z Chocolate or Z Chocolat. They're the number one award-winning chocolatier in the world, so they make ours for us. So we don't do
Did we speak
Hampers.
about this last year?
Yeah, mahogany chocolate boxes. We
Yeah.
bought them back. I'm shouting them out again because what they made is sexy as hell. If you want to see it, just go to find White Label Casinos on LinkedIn. You'll see pictures of them from all the staff. But those guys know how to hamper. They know how to mahogany hamper. There is a difference. There is a level these players need to get to. So use them if you want to level up your hamper game.
Oh, well, yeah, there are levels in this game. But, we do have to thank, I think, first and foremost, Pragmatic for alleviating us from back pain, basically. As an industry, if there's anything we don't have going into kind of senior years, it is back pain. So shout out to Pragmatic for perhaps being the most health conscious and saving us from these type of problems as we grow up.
If their hampers end up being fruit-based hampers, then they're fully on the eco side. If they're vegan fruit-based hampers with a chair, there is nothing you can say. We might all have gambling addictions, but we'll be comfortable and very healthy having those gambling addictions.
Maybe even edible chairs. Who knows? Maybe that's the next step.
Oh, I couldn't do that. I love this chair. Me and this chair would have a good time. We may already have had a good time, but
without going further into detail. Okay, this is a child-friendly podcast here, Phil. So we'll leave it at that very quickly. Okay, last segment of today, Phil. We're gonna end it today. Wrap up the year with some rapid fire questions, and Phil has not seen these questions before, so that always makes it more interesting. And Phil was very excited beforehand because he said rapid fire questions are always great to end the podcast with. To which I said, famous last words. And so here we go, Phil. Well, they aren't too bad, to be fair. But first question is, if you were to choose to invest in one company within the industry going into 2025, what company would you invest in?
Bet365.
Bet365. Question number 2. If you left White Label Casinos, which company would you want to work for?
I wouldn't want to work with another company. I'd want to do... You know that thing where people go on advisory boards and just do that thing? I mean, I do the thing with you for Valletta, which obviously is going to make it sound like I'm plugging Valletta for no reason, but I don't do that for a name. I do that to help come up with like fun ideas for panels. But I would do that. I don't think I would work for anyone unless I was building my own slots. That I think I would have fun with. But I'd probably want to do it on an open RGS. I wouldn't want to have all the tech stuff. So... like OpenRGS slot manufacturer with the right people as friends, like casino streamers and those kind of people, so that we could make games between us that people like.
Phil.
Convoluted.
Phil, who's your secret crush within the industry?
I mean, is it wrong to say you when you're doing a marathon? Because damn, man. A secret crush within the industry.
Oh my God, Phil! If I wasn't so orange in the camera, you see me blushing right now.
We're both orange. We're peak Donald Trumping.
Yeah. We are honoring Donald Trump going into 2025 here. Subconsciously.
But we're honoring him in some way. Secret crush. I mean, can I merge different parts of people together?
Yes, you can. That's allowed.
Okay, so we'll go with peak 2020 Evo Todd imagination and self-confidence. Your physique. We'll put these all together. I'll be gay for the sake of this. Why not? We'll go with the outgoing personality of Rebecca Mitzi.
Yes, Rebecca Mitzi, iGaming Academy.
iGaming Academy and iGaming Idol Salesperson of the Year winner last year.
That's also
that. I'd say your lady that you gave flowers to at the end of Idol, Gabby, the one who set everything up. That woman's attention to detail. So throw that in there into like a big melting pot. Go Gabby. And we're going to go with the hair, because you need the hair, of the lovely Carolina Pelk.
Lovely Carolina Pelk. Yeah, that's she has to be mentioned in this podcast.
So the hair of Carolina Pelk. And I think the financial acumen and bank account of Denise Coates, all of those together, and you are marrying that person.
Oh my goodness! Yeah, now we are talking the perfect iGaming machine. Basically, we built together here.
Exactly. I mean, if Celebrity Crush is a bit different, that's way more easy. But I think, yeah, if you're building an iGaming person to lust after, that's your iGaming person.
I would also put in there the mysterious and deep look of Alexander Tomek.
See, I ran away from that because honestly, it's so mysterious and deep. It kind of makes me question my own humanity and my own self in this world. So I avoided that honestly because he scares me a little bit, and not in a mean way, just in a very mysterious way. I feel very insecure.
Brilliant. Okay, fourth question. If you were an animal, Philip, which animal would you be? This is a very random fourth question, by the way.
Okay, I'm gonna decide. I've turned 40, so I'm gonna go with a sloth at this time because I just always want to lie down. So I am gonna happily be Sid from Ice Age. That's my animal spirit animal right now, or a penguin because they just look like they're having a good time.
That's a good answer. Yeah. And if you were to put together, this is a question that is inspired by Dimitri Belyanin, who made a post recently. If you were to put together your dream iGaming dinner table, you can have dinner with anyone. What would that dinner table look like?
I mean, can we just say all the people that I just put into one perfect crush? But I mean, those people. I mean, that we've tied two questions together here quite well. I'd want to pick the CEO of DraftKings as well. Can't remember his name off the top of my head.
Jason Robbins.
But yeah, that's it. I was going to say Tim Robbins, but I thought no, that's someone else. I'm going to say he needs to be there because I need to shout at him for taking away the most fun I ever have in the year from the UK market. He's on that table. We're definitely putting Denise on that table. We just need the fun people that are out there. James Davis, he needs to be on that table because that man is a riot, especially if there's cigars involved. I mean, you have to be there because otherwise, I mean, it's just not the same. But I will say that I'm also going to include our marketing team because I honestly think our marketing is so good this year that I think we would project that event really well. So all the people I put into a crush, along with Robbins and Davis, and then our marketing team there to support it.
You'd be on my favorite dream iGaming dinner table any day of the week, Phil, as well. Final question for you today. If you were Todd Haushalter, if you were the CPO of Evolution, what changes would you make?
I mean, is it possible to just stop making NetEnt slots and focus all of that money onto BTG and No Limit City? Maybe. I would invent Lightning Roulette 3, which is my idea, which I'm not going to go into, but it's like Lightning Roulette on...
Just more lightning.
I can say on crack, but on crack. That would be fun. I think people now are searching for volatility in places they weren't looking for it before. So people are playing more live games which have higher multipliers, which have higher potential. So I think expanding roulette and card games, if you can, to make it crazy high potential, but also crazy risk, especially with most people playing crypto on a higher stake, I think that would be a fun way to look at if he wants. But he's also busy with his other projects right now.
Phil, we forgot one prize, and it's me who's going to give that prize to the most fabulous and one of my most favorite people of the entire industry, and that is, of course, you, Phil. Congratulations. It's been fantastic for the third year to do this podcast together. It's now a staple in the end of the year calendar. It's a must. People have been waiting for it for a full year. They've been screaming for it, and here we are. So, Phil, as a final thing, thank you to you for being part of this industry.
Thank you for doing all of these podcasts and coming up with a top 10 of the year as well, which I don't know if I'm in this year. People didn't like my thing last year. It was too long.
It's because it's at the end of the year, Phil. So it's part of last year. We already announced the top 10 podcast. So at the time of this recording, this is too good. It's too powerful. It wouldn't be fair, and that's why it's not there.
We're going to put this live January the 1st because I want to watch this video 1,000 times a day next year, and I'm going to win that top 10. And then I'm going to have an actual award.
There we go. Thank you so much, Phil, for being you. And looking forward to next year.
Me too.